AVC Tony here. Tony's LPs are us. Thanks for stopping in. Finally received my copy in the mail along with Bad Company self-titled. Came in pretty good. I'll talk about the packaging when I publish my little video I did on the unboxing. I didn't think the packaging was great with the box, and the problem was my order was incomplete. I ordered a few other things beside the relayer and the Bad Company. So unless they're being shipped in a separate shipment, I'm not sure. I'm not going to publish that video. I actually are in correspondence now with RHINO to see what they say about that. I just have a little bit of a bump here, but nothing major. Really looks good. There's the inside gatefold, which is identical to the original. I'll just show the packaging, and then I'll talk about the 3 albums that I'm going to compare, or the 2 albums I'm going to compare this to. I'm going to compare it to the original OG, which I have a spectacular copy. And I have the Steven Wilson 216 remix that I bought when I bought the Steven Wilson Yes box set. That was in there. So anyway, this album was recorded at Chris Squire's home. It was a studio built for him, and it was later remixed and finalized at Advision Sound Studios in London. And here you see the tape box, and these are the liner notes that come with each and every high fidelity release from RHINO. And I think as far as liner notes go, and essays rather, this is one of the most comprehensive by Sid Schwartz. This goes into detail on the influences of the record, what the band's mindset was at the time, why Patrick Morantz was recently hired to fill in for Rick Wakeman. Rick Wakeman quit after the Topographic Ocean tours, after that double album. This album is after that album in their catalog. So it goes into really nice detail, as you can see here. Pretty extensive. A lot of words on these on this little essay, more so than normal on some of the other ones. So Mr. Schwartz did a really nice job, and I learned a lot. I learned that we used a 55 Fender Telecaster instead of the Gibson Les Paul on this album. The band consisted of Alan White, Steve Howe, John Anderson, Chris Squire, and of course Patrick Morantz, who had just joined the band. He quit his job with Refugee abruptly. They weren't too happy about that, but he got the call, and that's all in the liner notes. So the little essay, you'll see that, and it talks about this. What's interesting in this, that this is, as you can see from the Obi, 180 gram vinyl cut from original analog master tapes by Kevin Gray, Coherent Audio, pressed at Optimal Media, exclusive insert with notes by Sid Schwartz, 50th anniversary pressing, limited number edition of 5,000. Now that means that this edition is 5,000. Doesn't mean that this record and this plate will never be repressed, because what RHINO is doing now is they're waiting, possibly when these sell out, they go ahead and issue a non-numbered edition. I guess for the same price, I'm not sure. But, you know, this is a limited edition only for this numbered edition. So that's what's limited. But 5,000 is not a lot. This most likely will sell out. But what was interesting in this, as you can see here, it says copy. This is the tape box, and it says a copy on both sides. It doesn't say master. So I don't know the history behind that. I know it does say that the album was cut from the original analog tapes by Kevin Gray, but this replica of the box that they're using is a copy. So maybe someone out there knows this. I couldn't find anything online about that, and I don't believe it's been mentioned before. Here's the high glass cover. Here's the obi that fits here. And only 3 tracks on this, so a 33 fits this perfectly. 45 would cut up the continuity and the artist's intent, perhaps, if you have to get up and split these records into quarters. I guess Sound Chaser could be on one side, To Be Over could be on one side, but Gates of Delirium, which is a full 20 minutes or so, would have to be cut up. So I like the 33. These sound good. I don't know if there's much of a difference in a 45 depending on your system, but for $40 plus shipping and handling and tax, this is a great deal. And it comes with some cool stuff. This also has the original lyric sheet. This was the inner sleeve of the original. So here you have the lyrics. And I'm going to talk about the songs, but I want to get into my comparisons first. And these songs are intense, very complex. It's like listening to a classical piece, many movements, sounds from all over the place. Patrick Moran's fits right in with this band as if he was playing with them for 10 years. Really phenomenal job by Patrick. And then, as you'll know, as you'll learn from the essay, that he was later pushed aside by the band. Rick Wakeman reconciled with the guys, and Rick Wakeman came back. And I love Rick Wakeman's solo stuff. I have all his solo stuff, I believe, too. So, but like I said, I'm going to do an ABC here. I'm going to start off with the Steven Wilson, which is this Relayer. This is a 216. This is a remix. So it's not really mastered for any certain standard, but the quality of these are excellent. All these reissues, remasters, whatever you want to call them, by Steven Wilson are excellent. Here's the original label that they used. It's heavy 180 gram, I believe, vinyl, and it comes with the same as the original lyric inner. But as far as 1, 2, 3 goes, this is the worst of the bunch. I do not like this album after listening to it again. I listened to it this morning. I listened to it last week in preparation for this. I do not like this. This is not a good mix. All the impact is gone. He like kind of neutered it for some reason. It's warmer, it's softer, it's mellow, and that's not what this record's supposed to be. So as far as, let me see what my notes are. It lacks the punch of the OG, too mellow. So whatever Steven Wilson did on this particular remix, I'm not into it. The rest of them in the box set, like Fragile, Close to the Edge, I really like. He really did a nice job as he did with Aqualung and the Chicago. He did Chicago albums, and they sound great. They sound actually maybe better than the original Columbia's. So, the album is quiet. It's well pressed, but it just lacks something. Like I said, it has no punch to it. Kind of dead. When I put on the original, it came to life. My original is in really good condition, probably near mint, I'd say. Nothing wrong with this record. I had this since high school. I'm surprised it doesn't have the shrink still on it. Here's the original inner, right there. And the label matches up, as you could see, the custom label on Atlantic. And this record, from what I read, people were saying, or experts were saying on Steve Hoffman's sites and things, or fans, that this record wasn't recorded well as the other ones. That might be the case, but it still sounds great. So I really like this record. So this would be, if you can't pick up the new RHINO. If you can find an excellent to near mint copy of this for a good price, I would get this. This one just sounds good to me. It's just my opinion. I think it's great, and I love the artwork by Roger Dean. The artwork on the Reimagined albums by Steven Wilson didn't change. Some of the records in the box set, the jackets are reimagined. The jacket on Relayer is exactly the same as on the original gatefold. And if you flip it around, you have an entire scene. And when you read the essay, it talks about the influences, the books on war and peace, Lord of the Rings. There's a book that has Delirium in it. The band was influenced by some Turkish electronic music wizard that uses synthesizers and electronic sounds, and a lot of that comes in here. This was a kind of a departure for Yes. They departed with Rick Wakeman, and they kind of departed a little bit about their sound. But I always liked this album. This is one of my favorite Yes albums. But I want to get to this record. This is the new issue by RHINO, and just my opinion. Out of all three, this sounds the best. It has more nuances than my OG. The Steven Wilson, I'm just not even talking about right now. It's between the OG and this new issue by RHINO's High Fidelity. The Steven Wilson is out. So it's the OG and this record. Here it's the label is different, as you can see. They put the RHINO label, which is what they've used since the car is self-titled. So I was impressed with the sound of this. Has everything, has a nice bass, a nice mid-range. The vocals are clear, coherent. The synthesizers and the guitar work in tandem, very nice. That's a 55 Fender Telecaster, and I would have known that had I not had those excellent notes by Sid Schwartz on the inside of the jacket there from the new one here. So record's great. My favorite side is side 2. A lot of people like side 1. Side 2 starts off with Sound Chaser, and I just love that chorus, that choir jam, or whatever you want to call it. I just love that. And the record goes from an intense, if you read the notes and if you know about this record and if you read the lyrics along, you'll see that the Gates of Delirium are this epic battle. And it goes from the epic battle to Sound Chaser to Be Over, which I reconciled it as peace came to these people or this nation or this tribe or what have you. And interesting to note, after all the chaos in these lyrics, and there are lyrics, the side 1, as you can see here, nothing is repeated in this record except for the last verse. Everything else is just done straight. It's in movements. It's not broken down, but they're recording, and the progression of the song is in movements as a classical piece or as a jazz piece. I would compare this Relayer album to what was happening in jazz rock fusion in the 70s. This is 74. So it has a lot of Return to Forever, Mahavishnu, Herbie Hancock. It has that blend, and they kick butt on this. This could be, some of these sides are considered to me jazz fusion. And I remember when I worked in a record store years ago when this came out, I was actually working in a store at this time. People from all walks of life bought this record, not just progressive rock fans, not just hippies. It was Latin, African American. Of course, like I said, the regular mainstream of rock and roll, long hairs bought it, but everyone bought this album, and I remember that distinctively because that wasn't the case with a lot of records. A lot of records were kind of cut in, per communities. But this record, everyone loved this record, and I think a lot of it had to do with the jazz rock fusion element of this, and I'm sure they were influenced by this. And now, this is just me, an interesting point. When I was listening to The Gates of Delirium for the last week, on and off, I was hearing a melody that I couldn't point out. And then today, when I was listening to it, I realized what it was. If you go toward the last quarter of this song, I didn't break it down because I was listening to it, but toward the end of the song, I'm hearing Barbra Streisand's The Way We Were in a melodic sense. Maybe it's subliminal to me, but I'm hearing that, The Way We Were. So if you go back, see if you pick that up. And The Way We Were was released in '73. So those guys heard that record. The Yes guys heard that record. And this was in the fall. This was recorded in the fall of '74. So just my little thing. I might be wrong. It might be some weird aspect, but I've been listening to it. And you know when something's on the tip of your tongue and you're trying to figure out, where did I hear that? And I'm telling you, The Way We Were is embedded somewhere in the last part of Gates of Delirium. But as far as the lyrics go, you got to read the lyrics. Listen to the record first, or read the lyrics along with it. A lot of people don't know this record. I know a lot of you young VCers out there, record collectors, don't know this record as well as some of us. And I have forgotten it. I've had this record for 50 years. I probably one of the most pulled Yes records that I have in my Yes collection. So I probably listen to this once a year or so. So what's that? A few times over the last, 50 years or so. It's just amazing. But when you read these lyrics, they're intense, and the verses are not repeated except for Gates of Delirium. The last verse is repeated maybe once. But like I said, or maybe I didn't say it because I forgot what I say on these. These aren't scripted. I'm just looking at my stuff here. The last word is loved. So it went from a war to final love, and it's a person, or like I said, an army or a general going toward the sun, going toward life. And the last word is loved. So a great album, Patrick Baranch's first album. You won't go wrong with this. This is a low number. Finally, I bought this probably 10 o'clock after Westman announced it. This is number 1084 out of 5,000, so it's a pretty low number. And it's got a good copy here, so enjoy yours. Hope you like this little 2 cents of mine. It's just my opinion. And I want to thank everyone again, as I usually do, if I don't forget. Thanks for subscribing. If you haven't subbed, please do so. We really try to build the channel and bring you a lot more content. And if you comment, let me know what you think about this pressing. Let me know what you think about the Steven Wilson pressing. I think the OG is very close to this. This just has some nuances in it. Excellent bass, excellent mid-range. It's a modern sound to it. Just doesn't sound muddy at all. Dead quiet. Some people on Steve Hoffman's site was thinking that the original sounded off. Maybe it wasn't up to the standards of Close to the Edge and Fragile, because those were off the charts. But I thought my OG copy is really good. So one more look at what this looks like for you guys. And there it is. I had notes, but I don't usually get to them all. See, I wrote down The Way We Were in 1973. But great record. Talks about the environment. Of course, has like an epic battle in it. You have to read the words. They're intense. It's not just normal R&B, rock and roll type of thing. This is progressive at its best. And, Yes is, as you know, changed the course of progressive rock with this album. It's kind of a departure for a lot of their other records. So that's it. Keep rocking. And if anybody knows why this is a copy box, maybe Steve Westman out there knows why this is a copy box and not the original, please let me know. Hats off to RHINO once again. Everything came in cool. They just had a little problem with my order, which I'm sure we will fix. So keep rocking. And like I said, I really appreciate it. Please subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Take care. Ciao.